Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S25 and compare it against the Google Pixel 9 Pro and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, both these phones are very interesting. They're both kind of the main flagships that both these manufacturers make from this particular size difference. So it is going to be a very interesting kind of thing to kind of see which one is the better one for you in particular. Now, number one, if you are in the market and you want to pick up either one of these devices, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the Google Pixel 9 Pro, which came out in August of 2024, on the front side is going to be giving you a pretty nice display. It's going to be 6.3 inches, and it's going to be an LTPO OLED display. So this type of panel, for the most part, looks pretty good, right? I like this panel a lot. It's 3000 nits of brightness, and it is a 120 Hz display as well. So this is definitely a pretty good looking display. I mean, if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, it doesn't really get that much better than this one. This is a very solid option. You're getting that hole punch display at the very top, fingerprint sensor in the display. There's still a lot of stuff to love within this panel, and it is also slightly higher resolution than the Galaxy S25 with higher pixels per inch. So not really that big of a deal, but that could be one thing to kind of think about there. On the Samsung Galaxy S25, on the other hand, this phone is going to be giving you a 6.2 inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. So this one is a little bit of a different screen technology. This one is 120 Hz as well, but this one's giving you 2600 nits of brightness. So the Pixel 9 Pro does actually give you a little bit of a brighter display, which could be a nice thing depending on if you're wanting a bright display all the time. Well, you could go through and get that type of capability there, which is really nice. But I would still say between both, they're both like neck and neck. There could be some people who actually might even prefer something like a Galaxy S25's display in some cases, just because that panel, it's tailored a different way. It's kind of more modified for Samsung phones, especially for the colors and everything like that. Sometimes they can just be better on the Galaxy S25. On the bottom, both are giving you USB Type-C ports, which is great. I love USB Type-C. No other ports or I/O anywhere else. On the backside, you're getting your frosted glass backs on both these devices, which again, I think is pretty nice. I love being able to go through and buy these phones and have these frosted glass backs, and they just make the phones feel so much more premium. They're also giving you triple camera setups on the top, but that are situated a little bit differently. The S25's is on the top left. The Pixel 9 Pro is on the top, like all throughout. They're both giving you wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. They're both giving you IP certification. And both these phones, like I said before, are some of the top phones you can buy when it comes down to it. Like if you're going to go through and pick up these devices, these are very, very solid options. And I love being able to go through and buy these types of phones that are going to be giving you that type of capability. So I think that is a very big thing to keep in mind here, because if you are trying to go through and pick up a phone, well, definitely when it comes down to both these devices do a pretty good job, especially from the exterior. But there's one interesting thing here, and that's basically the price tag. The price tag of both these phones is a little bit different. So brand new, the Galaxy S25 I think is actually cheaper than the Pixel 9 Pro, but in the used market on Amazon right now, the Pixel 9 Pro cost about $689. The Galaxy S25 is $799. So that right there could be an interesting thing that you can kind of think about as well. Like if you're trying to go through and get a device that's going to be cheaper, you could take a look at something like the Pixel 9 Pro and see that that particular phone is a little bit cheaper when it comes down to it in the used market than the Galaxy S25. So from the price tag standpoint, kind of think about that when it comes down to it as well. Now, when it comes down to the camera side, this is also something very interesting to keep in mind. So like I said, both are giving you triple camera setups on the backside. The only difference here is that the megapixel count on the periscope telephoto and ultra camera on the Pixel 9 Pro are higher, going from 10 and 12 megapixels on the S25 to 48 megapixels on the Pixel 9 Pro. So that could be a big deal to you. It really just depends on which way you actually want to look at it. Now, personally for me, I like both these phones because they're both giving you 4K at 60 on the front in terms of filming and 8K at 30 frames per second that you can film in on the back, which I think is actually a really nice thing. And it's a really nice touch. Being able to go through and pick up both these phones in that type of capacity, I think it is a very nice thing when it comes down to it. So that right there is a very, very big thing. But number one, another very big thing to keep in mind here too, is that if you're going to pick up one or the other, it's going to be neck and neck. I would probably say though, in my personal opinion, like if I had to pick up one, I do like the Samsung Galaxy cameras a little bit more. I typically like those phones and those cameras more when it comes down to it. And I always feel like if I'm going to go through and pick up a certain type of phone, those ones are the ones that make the most amount of sense to me. But I would say though, on the Galaxy S25, that camera's good and it's great. But the Pixel 9 Pro's camera is still very good, and I don't really have too many complaints there either. Like, it's kind of like neck and neck. It really just depends on which one you want to look at. Now, when it comes down to software longevity, I think the Galaxy S25 is probably going to last like 1 year longer than the Google Pixel 9 Pro. And that's just because the Pixel 9 Pro came out with Android 14, that one's getting 7 major versions of Android, and then the Galaxy S25 came out with Android 15, and now it's also getting 7 years of upgrades. So we're not really too sure which one's going to be lasting the longest time here, but I would probably say when it does kind of come down to it, that potentially a device like the Samsung Galaxy S25 could end up being the one that does kind of end up lasting for a longer period of time than something like a Google Pixel 9 Pro. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're going to go through and pick up a phone, that's just kind of what we're going to end up seeing here probably for the most part. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their batteries, the Pixel 9 Pro is giving you a 4700 mAh battery inside, where the Galaxy S25 is giving you a 4000 mAh battery. So it really just depends on which way you want to go, but you could probably make the argument on the Google Pixel 9 Pro that battery life is probably going to be overall better. So if you are wanting the phone that's going to be giving you better capability there, once again, it probably is going to be something like a Google Pixel 9 Pro. Not by a lot, but could be slightly better when it kind of comes down to it from that side as well. And finally, when it comes down to the performance, this is always something really big you're going to have to keep in mind. With the Google Pixel 9 Pro, this type of performance and this type of chipset inside is basically going to be that Google Tensor G4 chipset inside with 16 gigabytes of RAM, where the Galaxy S25 is giving you that Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. So this right there is another very, very big thing to keep in mind here too. Like if you are going to go through and pick up a device, the Galaxy S25 is probably going to be an overall faster phone, but you are getting more RAM inside of the Google Pixel 9 Pro. So I do think this in and of itself is a very nice thing, because this is in and of itself such a beautiful thing to basically be able to go through and pick up. The Pixel 9 Pro is a very fast phone, and if you are going to go through and pick up a device like from apps to games and everything like that, that phone is going to be perfectly fine. But also with something like the Samsung Galaxy S25, I do think this phone is just giving you a better chipset, and it probably is going to be an overall faster, better performing device when it comes down to it from that side as well. So overall, to kind of sum up this whole entire video, I definitely do think that with these types of devices, you can't really go wrong with either one, right? I like both these phones, but I would probably say that the Google Pixel 9 Pro is probably going to be the one that might be the better one, for some people, maybe if you want a cheaper phone. But on the flip side, I do feel like if you're somebody who wants to get the more flagship phone, the Samsung Galaxy S25 is the one that I would probably recommend for a vast majority of people. That phone I think is better, that phone is faster, that phone is giving you basically everything you probably want in a phone, but there are some advantages with the Pixel 9 Pro, like the battery life. So it really just depends on which way you want to go. But personally for me, I do like the Samsung Galaxy S25, and I do think that phone might be the better one when it kind of comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.